Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of the MCR Mac and Me. My name's TJ. In this segment, I'm sure everyone knows by now that Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, has been chosen by the great one, Kamala Harris, to be her vice president running mate. Uh, I felt it prudent to just share some of his credentials, so as to inform everyone as to who is seeking this office of the vice president. I mean, people need to be fully informed of the people they put in office. So I feel. Okay.
And
Uh,
who, and more, I think even more importantly, who they are going to serve.
oh yeah, yeah. So right out of the gate, Mac, I don't know if you heard this like the day, but right out of the gate, he was assigned the nickname Tampon Tim.
Yes,
Uh,
I heard.
and that was a result of when he was governor. I guess he signed a bill, which he certainly advocated the placing or positioning of, we'll say, feminine hygiene products into male restrooms in high schools. And you know what? Thus, him earning the name Tampon Tim. Any thoughts on that particular topic there?
Well, you have to ask yourself this question: why would he do that? And who is he trying to appease there?
Oh yeah, well, a definite demographic group, it's safe to say. Another interesting point on this fine gentleman. When he was governor, I guess his wife was reportedly saying how, as Minneapolis was on fire during the George Floyd riots of BLM, I guess, they left their windows open so they could enjoy the aroma, the scent, the fine odor of burning tires. And on the heels of me reading that, he uh, he came out with a statement where he kind of advocated. Let's see if I have it here. Uh, he said, "One person's socialism is another's neighborliness." And I thought, gee, that's uh, yeah, one man's socialism is another person's neighborliness. And I thought, okay, well, that sure sounds like theft, you know. And uh, and then
Well,
in
of course,
another,
that's what socialism is. It's polite theft.
yeah, and then in another statement, he was advocating the outlawing of uh, hate speech and misinformation. And I guess,
Other words, he's anti-First Amendment.
yeah. Uh, and I thought, okay, well, you know, you want to. It was fine and dandy with him for these people to burn Minneapolis down, but Lord God Almighty, don't say or post anything which because I guess he's the arbiter. I guess he's the arbiter of what's truthful or misinformation. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. You know what? They on that side of the aisle, they always want to be the arbiter. Uh, because clearly they're not wrong. You
They're
know.
so learned.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. Then you have the issue of him being National Guard, and it's actually kind of cool that he was in the Minnesota National Guard.
Yep.
He attained the rank of Master Sergeant, and that's an E8.
That's a big deal, right?
That's a big deal. Then he was given a conditional promotion to command sergeant major. And when you're a command sergeant major, that's like a battalion level enlisted guy. Uh,
Right.
I
Also a
mean,
big deal.
you could be a sergeant major or a master sergeant or a sergeant major when you're a first sergeant of a company or battery or whatever. But if you're a command sergeant major, that usually designates a battalion level position, and that's a really big deal. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm making that a really big deal is they took that rank away from him. And why did they take that rank away from him? Well, because he didn't fulfill his obligations. You see, the promotion they define the promotion as conditional, and he failed to meet the conditions. And when he failed to meet the conditions of his conditional promotion, well, then he was demoted. And part of his demotion was over the fact that he retired from the military. And it's not that. I mean, I got out of the military. Okay, so getting out of the military is no big deal. But to and this is where it begins. He was basically pawning himself off as this retired command sergeant major. Now, if he had said he was a retired master sergeant, you know what?
That would be true.
That would be true. But he wanted to play himself off as a retired command sergeant major. Then then he kind of led people to believe that he served in Iraq, and as the saying goes, the plot thickens, and that because he was in an artillery battalion, okay, when his artillery unit, when you're in the military and you're getting ready to do a major deployment, some months prior they will give you what's referred to as warning orders. And the intent of warning orders is, okay, get your stuff together because in a few months we're being deployed, and when these few months come to pass, they don't want to hear any excuses about you didn't warn me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the whole intent of the warning orders. And normally you get these warning orders at least 6 months prior. Okay. So when his unit got these warning orders of deployment to Iraq, well, that's when he failed to keep his end of the bargain, given his command sergeant major rank. He retired, and they were like, that's not cool. You're not, and the National Guard, they're not sugarcoating this. They said, he didn't keep his side of the deal, and yeah, we took his rank from him.
Well, I can tell you this is for both of them. This is a trend. They swear an oath to the Constitution or an oath of office that includes upholding and defending the Constitution, and then they renege on that. So this is a pattern of these people.
And in making the case of an anti-gun position, referring to AR-15s as weapons of war, he was quoted as saying that he wanted to outlaw weapons of war like the weapons he carried in war. And I was,
that's a complete misrepresentation.
It's a complete misrepresentation from start to finish. AR weapon of war that he carried in a war. He didn't carry no AR-15 anywhere. I would tell you, because there is a technical difference between an AR-15 and an M16 or an M4, as they now are called, because M4 is the carbine version of the M16. Or I'm sure someone will correct me in the technical terms, but so be it. Anyway, so the guy just totally misrepresented his point. And I understand that this is his and anyone's right to do so, but he even protested the very war he avoided with his retirement with his libtard friends. So,
well, you see, that might go to why he retired, or as his fellow soldiers would say, the people under him would say, he quit on them, bailed on them.
Another point here, going back to 1995, he was pulled over for doing 95 and a 55. The police officer who pulled him over suspected him of drunk driving. The news report I read indicated that he failed a sobriety test. If he was charged or convicted, the news report I read didn't say anything to that effect. So I'm hesitant to say that he was in fact charged and convicted with drunk driving. But there's a mugshot of him. There's a mugshot of him, given the fact, and it all started with him.
Well, here's the thing about that. If there's a mugshot, that means he was arrested. And that means he was arrested for something.
Yeah, exactly.
Involving this incident. So that tells me that they are at least accusing him of having driven drunk or perhaps reckless driving. I don't know if you get arrested for reckless driving, but.
And this is just an FYI to just how messed up this guy is. There was and I don't know the date and time of this event, other than You had a woman by the name of Shannon Owen, widowed. Her husband was a slain police officer, killed on a routine, what was defined as a typical routine call to an apartment building. At this slain police officer's funeral, well, she basically asked him, "Don't attend. I don't want you here." And I'd just like to read her statement because she made a statement in regards to her not wanting Governor Walz at her slain husband's funeral, and it reads, "It had nothing to do with him being a Republican or Democrat. I want that to be clear. It had to do with a lot of laws they're changing for police officers," indicating that he was complicit in the changing of these laws.
Handcuffing the police, right?
Exactly. It's changing a lot of minds if they want to stay or not, they being, police officers he served with.
Right.
Or if they want to be a cop anymore because they can't protect themselves. And this is the guy's wife saying this. And in situations like this, whether it was drugs or mental health, they need to approach these situations and protect themselves. It's not that I wanted to be rude or anything. It's just that I don't appreciate people that don't support law enforcement. It doesn't matter who you are, don't show up to the funeral. She also said he was afraid he, being her slain husband, he was afraid he'd do something wrong and end up in jail. Oh, you think? And that's how a lot of them, his fellow police officers, feel. They feel like if they step over the line a little bit, they'll go to jail. We have to be able to protect our law enforcement and our citizens. We can't be blocking all these things they can do. So that was what she was saying to the governor and we'll just say his libtard friends, you know.
Right.
So clearly there was some sort of handcuffing of the police, we'll say, whether it come from him or whether or not he was complicit with him in the state legislature or whoever, you know. But yeah, at her husband's funeral, she did not want him or anyone, any of his associates, will say, at that funeral. Kind of sounds like a very sad story, but I was compelled to add that to this gentleman's repertoire. Okay, so that's all I got for this one. If you got any final thoughts there.
Well, there's a lot more to say on him, and we're not done talking about him yet by a long shot. So
yeah, and we'll throw in the whole. You know, I thought it was kind of well, bravo to J.D. Vance, a Marine, Iraq War veteran. You know, because I say, well, unless you served, you can't criticize. So okay, have at it, JD. You know, tear him a new one, as we like to say. So
right.
That's all I got for now. You know, and like Mac was saying, there'll be developments for sure with him, Kamala, however you want to say it, because heard if you mispronounce her first name, it's because of racism. That's being thrown about now. So, however you want to say her first name, all right. That's all I got for this one. We'll catch you all in the next segment. Thanks everyone for your support. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.